welcome to the NHIC's podcast, your go-to resource for insights, tips and stories about repair, maintenance and home improvement. I'm Anna Scothan, and in this episode we're celebrating National Apprenticeships Week, a time to shine a spotlight on the incredible opportunities that apprentices bring to our industry. I'm thrilled to welcome our special guest, John Newcombe, Chief Executive of the Builders Merchants Federation. John has been at the helm of BMF since August 2012, leading a team dedicated to representing and promoting the interests of merchants, manufacturers and service providers in the building materials supply sector. Under John's leadership, the BMF has been a staunch advocate for apprenticeships, recognising its vital role in addressing the skills gap in our industry. Now, John is going to talk to us a bit more, but I also wanted to say that the BMF has launched the Apprenticeship Pledge. And to date, although I think he might be giving us an update on this, 88 member companies are committing to create almost 15,000 new apprenticeship opportunities across the sector. This is a huge commitment, and it underscores the industry's dedication to nurturing new talent, upskilling existing colleagues and ensuring a skilled workforce for the future. John's commitment to education extends beyond the UK. He has personally supported the Kisima School in Kenya for over a decade and was recently appointed to the Board of Trustees of their Educational Frontier Trust, which is a UK charity funding education for marginalised children. In today's episode, we are discussing the importance of apprenticeships in repair, maintenance and home improvement and the merchant sector, discussing the initiatives spearheaded by the Builders Merchants Federation to promote apprenticeship opportunities and exploring how these programmes are shaping the future of our industry. John, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Anna, and thank you for inviting me to join you and obviously the listeners today. Thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And from your intro, you are extremely experienced in this area, and you're being very generous with your time, and I appreciate it. To start off with, could you share your perspective on why you think apprenticeships are such a fantastic opportunity, both for the individuals who become the apprentice, but also for the wider sector?
Yeah, well, you mentioned at the start, Anna, that I've personally been involved in apprenticeships for the last sort of 12 years. I've been at the head of BMF. We used to own our own apprenticeship trading agency, an ATA. Unfortunately, when obviously the government regulations changed, the levy came in, that all changed. But so I suppose we've had different ways of actually supporting and promoting apprentices, but the fundamental reason why we feel so passionate about apprenticeships is because they represent the future of the industry. We know this is an industry which is aging. The workforce is aging. We know we have a skills crisis looming. We have over 1 million people to find in this industry over the next sort of 10 years or so. And I think that the average person in this industry is probably around about 55, 56, white male. I guess I'm fairly typical of that. So where are the workforce of the future going to come from? And for me, apprenticeships is the perfect solution, particularly since the rules and regulations around the apprenticeship levy have changed, because now clearly a lot of our members are paying that levy. And our message is very much, look, you're paying for this facility, please use them, don't let that money go to waste. So I think to some extent, I know that the levy gets a lot of bad press. In some way, it's been a spur, it's been an incentive for a number of particularly medium to large size of businesses to say, actually, we need to find a use for that money, and we need to invest that money in apprenticeships.
Yeah, and to that point, could you explain about the apprentice levy and the differences from how the system was before when you first joined the BMF?
Yeah, well, there wasn't a levy when I joined the BMF. There was a series of ATAs throughout the UK, so you had to use an approved apprenticeship provider, which we did. We'd actually used the same one as the Electrical Distributors Association, the EDA, who I think are still using that ATA. Um, the levy is basically a tax, for want of a better word. It's on businesses that have a wage bill of over 3 million, and it means there's a proportion of their finances that have to be allocated to support apprenticeships on an annual basis. Our estimate is probably only 40% of our members are actually utilising that levy. So it means 60% of those funds are going either back into Treasury, or you can, of course, use that levy to. I mean, a merchant could use that levy to fund apprenticeships in a builder or for a tradesman.
Hmm.
But very little of that, in reality, very little of that is actually happening. So I think, as I said, the levy has almost forced our members to really look at the role of an apprentice, and at least there's finances there, if you like, to employ them. Finances only cover the training, by the way. They don't cover the salary of the apprentice,
No.
which could be, I guess, for a small, medium-sized business could still be an issue. But the other thing I wanted to say, which probably not a lot of your listeners may not be aware of, is that if you employ an apprentice under 25, there is no national insurance contribution costs. And that's a particularly sensitive issue, of course, post the Rachel Reeves budget, where NI has been a huge cost that a lot of businesses have had to absorb. So again, we're really pushing that message that 100% or even 95% of training, if you're not a levy payer, 95% of training is still covered by
Yeah.
the government. It's the salary that the company have to find. But again, under the age of 25, there is no national insurance contribution.
Which is fantastic. And yes, you have to find the salary contribution, and that still can be a barrier. But when you consider that you're getting the skills developed fresh in that person, and
Yeah,
that you are supporting them on their journey, that is going to build in loyalty and team spirit, for want of a better term, to into that. And if it's a skill that you need within your business, then it's a really excellent way of connecting into the local college or university where or centre of technical excellence where the apprentice is doing that, is having their learning,
yeah.
and you get them working in your business.
Yeah, and I think there is there's a bit of a misconception that apprenticeships, when you say the word apprentice, it's almost people have this image of a 16 to 19.
Yeah,
Apprenticeships, of course, are for any age, because the apprenticeship levy can be used actually either to recruit apprentices, or it can be used to upscale the training with people within your business. So our largest member is Travis Perkins, and probably the biggest user of apprentices. TP have anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 apprentices joining their business every year. But the average age of a Travis Perkins apprentice is actually 37. And their oldest apprentice is in their early 60s. So again, we've got to break down some of these misconceptions that
yeah,
apprenticeships are only for young people. Yes, of course, they're a way of bringing young people into the industry, but they're also a way of upskilling your own employees,
yeah.
and of course bringing career changes. People who might be in their 40s or 50s who haven't worked in construction are looking for a career change, and then can use the apprenticeship to come into our sector.
Absolutely. And it's a great opportunity, to explore new trades and opportunities that are coming as a result of decarbonisation and increased digitization of the industry. There are so many new opportunities for people who start, who, as you say, are halfway through their career. They might think, well, I don't want to do this anymore, or I want to move off the tools possibly, and are looking for other opportunities in still within the sector. And apprenticeships do give that opportunity as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, Anna.
So the BMF has been promoting and been really proactive in promoting apprenticeships for a long time. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Apprenticeships Pledge
Yeah.
that you've created, and how you help your members on their apprenticeships journey?
So yeah, we launched the Apprenticeship Pledge in June 2023. So we're almost coming up to 2 years of the pledge. And the pledge was a simple idea to almost get a written commitment from our members on how many apprentices they felt that they could take between last year and 2030. We came up with a sort of nominal date of 2030. We did some calculations, and we came up with a sort of magical figure of 15,000 apprentices, which we believed was achievable by 2030. And the pledge is a written commitment. It's a certificate, effectively, that obviously is signed by me, but it's signed by the owner of the individual business. And it's a commitment to take into their business X number of apprentices over a 5, 6, 7 year period. And that can vary from an organisation like Selco, for example, one of our members who just committed to take 500 apprentices between now and 2030, to a small builders merchant in Warrington that might take 5 apprentices between now and 2030. We don't really care about the numbers. We've now got, as I think you said earlier, we've got close to 90 companies that have now signed that pledge. And by the way, that's merchants and suppliers. So, for example, JCB were one of our latest manufacturing members to actually sign the pledge. And the plan, we have a parliamentary reception in London next week where we have the employment minister attending. And I want to share those figures, and we will write to government with a list of those organisations that have made that pledge to try and reach that 15,000 by 2030. And I think you said at the start of the programme, Anna, we're already we're about 50 short, I think, of that 15,000 figure. So we probably need to escalate the figure from 15 to 20,000, maybe.
Yeah, but it's amazing to, within 2 years, you're going to have smashed your 10-year target,
Yeah.
which is amazing. That shows the commitment in your members to promoting and supporting the future of our business, of our industry, and promoting and supporting their own businesses. Because to take on an apprentice, as we've said, you do have to cover their salary. Yes, their training costs are covered, but they are for a 4 year, generally a 3 to 4 year period. So you've got to have a belief that your business is sustainable for the next 4 years, and that you have enough confidence that you can take on somebody's salary for the next 4 years, and that you can embed their learning and their journey into your business. And for smaller businesses especially, it's one or two apprentices is a big percentage difference in terms of their staffing, and it can really significantly affect the culture of those small businesses. And I think that's a really brave commitment by your members. So well done to them.
Yeah, it is, and that was the if you like, the rationale behind the pledge, because one or two of them were talking about it but hadn't really made that commitment. So the pledge I'm a great believer. If you write something down, if you say you're going to do something, you'll actually do it. So that was the concept behind it. Yeah, and also, I mean, Anna, the government target is that 5% of your workforce should come through apprentices. In our sector, in the building materials sector, it's probably less than 1%, probably close to 0.5%. So we've got a long way to go from, that 0.5% through to the 5%. And I guess the pledge was also born out of that. How do we move our members to think, all right, I need to take 5% of my workforce needs to be through apprenticeships. The BMF, I now have 2 apprentices working, actually 3 apprentices working in the business with Mariana. We're about 10% of the BMF's employees are now apprenticeships. So of course we're passionate about it. And again, we want to lead by example. If we're asking our members to do this, then we as a trade association have also got to be saying, look, we've got an apprentice in our policy public affairs department. We've got one in our marketing department, because we run over 50 apprenticeship programs now, from anything from finance through to logistics through to marketing. So again, I think people have this sort of vision of apprentices as engineers or working on factory floors. They're not. You can employ an apprentice in any part of your business.
Yeah.
And there are obviously degree apprenticeships now as well, which is probably the fastest growing apprenticeship. And as somebody with sort of 4 kids, who've done degrees, and they're still paying for the privilege of that. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you encourage your child to go on and do an apprenticeship degree to have a job at the end of it, and
Yeah.
also a qualification?
And be paid while you're doing it. And that's exactly
Absolutely.
the NHIC has an apprenticeship as well. Gemma, she's a digital marketing degree apprenticeship with Nottingham Trent University. And it's absolutely, why wouldn't you do your degree while working, and being able to trial the things that you're learning in the classroom, in a real life environment, which I think is so powerful. So I think that's an important message as well. Yeah, apprenticeships are about the trade and skilled trade and training, the on-site workforce.
Mm.
But businesses can also look to have marketing support, finance support,
Yep.
HR support, things that make your life as a business owner easier can be delivered through an apprenticeship program as well.
Yes, as I said, we now run over 50 apprenticeship programs, and well, our provider is an organisation called Leap. It's
Mm,
an organisation set up by Travis Perkins actually about 6 or 7 years ago, and the Leap stands for Learn While You Earn, and is probably one of the most successful apprenticeship programs in the UK now. But and for a builder's merchant, probably the most popular apprenticeship we run is what we call a trade supplier, level 2 trade supplier, where we can literally take somebody in with very few qualifications. They can have 18 months experience of working for different elements of the merchant. That could be working in the warehouse, working behind the counter, obviously as for serving customers, or on the telephone doing telephone selling. So they get a sort of experience of different aspects of working in a builder's merchant, and then at the end of that 18-month period, of course, they can then choose which part of the business that they want to work in. But our level 2 trade supplier apprenticeship, which was written by merchants for merchants, probably counts for about 60% of the apprenticeships that we offer through merchants now, but obviously that's a level 2. It goes all the way up to level 7. You can do a master's degree apprenticeship now.
yeah.
So it's a phenomenal array of opportunities that are out there for businesses, and of course individuals that are hopefully wanting a career in our industry.
Absolutely. And so for anyone that's interested, because I think you and I are both huge advocates for it, why would you not be interested in this? Either as a potential apprentice. So some of our listeners might be thinking, well, how do I start to do this? This is something that I'd like to do.
Mm.
But also some people might be thinking, well, actually, I would like to bring on some additional support into my business. And this is a less risky way of doing it, possibly. And what steps should they take?
Okay, if there are people listening to the program that are, if you like, outside of our industry, want to come and work in this sector, we've launched a website recently called bmcareers.com. That tells any interested party in our industry, tells them about the roles that are available, the type of career opportunities, the salaries that are available. But also there's a section on apprenticeships as well, where and there's also direct links to individual employees. So there's a company profile of it's close to 200 companies that are on that website right now. Anything from Travis Perkins, as I said, through to JCB. And then it takes them to that individual company's jobs page, so they can actually see. If they click on JCB, it will take them to the JCB page, and they will list all of the opportunities that are available, including any apprenticeships that are available.
Yeah.
So that's one way, through bmcareers.com. The other way is through the government apprenticeship website. If they tap in apprenticeships in the UK in Google, it will take you through, I think, a very, very good website, which will again give them a background on what an apprenticeship is and how to go about applying for an apprenticeship, whether that's in our sector or any other sector,
Yeah.
any other industrial sector. So those would be my two go-to places, bmcareers.com and the government apprenticeship website. For employers, obviously, if anybody listening to this is a BMF member, then I would please come directly to me. You know, Anna's got my details, and I will put them in touch with Mariana, who's my apprenticeship manager. If you're a non-BMF member, I'm sure that Mariana would be able to point you in the right direction. Obviously, it depends on which sector of construction you're in. Obviously, we have Construction Industry Training Board, the CITB, which services part of the construction industry. There is a website called Go Construct, Anna. I don't know whether there's anything on the Go Construct website about apprenticeships as well. But look, at any employer, potential employer that's out there, particularly that's wrestling with the issues of the impact of the budget, how can I control costs? How can I bring people into the business which are probably a bit more cost effective, let's say, than employing somebody at a more senior salary? Then I think there's a better time to be looking at apprenticeships. And given the fact that this is going out just before National Apprenticeship Week, that's a really good time to be sort of focusing on this area and saying, right, what can I do as a business to either employ an apprentice, or what can I do as an individual sitting at home? What can I do to apply and find out more about being an apprentice in the construction building materials industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned National Apprenticeships Week. So National Apprenticeships Week is every February. And this year, 2025, when we're recording this episode, it's the 25th of February to the 30th of February. And it's a celebratory focus, if you like, a celebratory campaign where lots of organisations across lots of different sectors really shines a light and focuses on the benefits that apprenticeships bring to employers, to their industries as a whole, and to the individuals. So what message would you most like to share with our listeners today about National Apprenticeships Week?
Well, as I said earlier, and I think it's just a way of focusing the organization's attention on what is this thing called an apprenticeship. Let me find out more about what this means to my business. How can this add value to my business? I think it's particularly appropriate within the environment we're in now. It's look, the last 2 years have been a challenging period for the RMI sector and for construction at large. So it gives us an opportunity to sit back and maybe, if you've never considered an apprentice, what can this do? How much value can this add to my business? We say to all of our members, we have 1,020 members. Even if you just took one apprentice in your business, think how that might change your business, but also how you might create an opportunity for that individual.
Yeah.
Who either might not be working, or they might be in the wrong type of role, or they're a young person desperate to get on the career ladder but don't know how to go about it. We've almost got a social responsibility to do that. Plus, this industry has to attract new talent, a diverse group of individuals that can tackle issues like sustainability, digitalization. My favorite expression with our members is stop fishing in the same pool, because the pool is gradually reducing in size. Look for different pools to go and fish in. And apprenticeships gives you a different pool. It gives you quite a large pool, actually, of talent that perhaps you hadn't have considered before.
And I think that's a key point. And circling back to something we mentioned earlier in the episode about, don't just think of the traditional skills and how that can support your business, but by thinking about what apprenticeships opportunities there are. And you might have members of staff in your team at the minute who are working part-time and who would love the opportunity to do more, but you don't quite have a full role for them to do any more. Well, think about the different types of role and how they can extend that. And think about those different opportunities. And I think, as you say, we know that construction broadly is got to get more sustainable. We have to get more energy efficient. We have to understand the use of more sustainable materials. We have to be more effective with the way that we build, maintain, and repair our infrastructure, and be more climate conscious around that. So there's huge opportunities just in that space
Mm.
about providing support to your business, providing support to your clients, understanding the issues, helping your business navigate those issues, as well as the sort of the traditional sort of sustainability type approach. But also digitization, we know that AI, digital solutions, I think that's going to be the biggest revolution in RMI as soon as we start to unlock some of the ways that tradespeople can be supported to make their lodgements, to have their work approved, etc., to lodge with building control, or all that. So as soon as we find that the solution that unlocks a lot of that red tape and administration, and there's huge opportunities. You don't have to think of a traditional construction skill
Yeah.
to realize the benefit of an apprenticeship.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of, as we know, younger people that are coming out of education now probably have those different values than the older guys. They are more caring about the environment. They are more technologically savvy. As a builder's merchant, if you're looking to set up a website or if you're looking to
Mm.
go to social media, you probably don't have those skills within the business. So an apprenticeship gives you the opportunity to bring those skills in at relatively low cost, Anna, in reality. The investment is there's a lot of investment in time, of course, because you've got to nurture and develop these people. But actually, that's also very rewarding. Particularly for the older guys in the industry, it's about legacy. It's about what you leave behind. So yeah, maybe think of apprenticeships as as part of that legacy of perhaps bringing younger people into the business and seeing them flourish and develop, and then that's part of the legacy that you leave behind within a business.
So just to recap, John, before we close up today, tell us again about the BMF's Apprenticeship Pledge and how you are hoping that your members continue to respond in such a positive way and your ambitions for the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, we will continue to try and encourage as many of our members. I guess you look at the maths, we've got 1,020 members and we've got 88 people signed the pledge. So we've got huge scope there.
Yeah.
And it's mentioned at every single meeting that we have. We update our members in terms of where the pledge is. We encourage our members to sign it. So we will keep on banging the drum and are asking more and more companies to sign the apprenticeship pledge on the belief that by signing it, then they're then sort of committed to doing it. I think obviously we're quite interested to know what the changes in the apprenticeship levy are going to bring. As you know, the government have announced that the apprenticeship levy will be changed. The name will change as well to the skills and growth levy. What we don't know right now is what the particulars of those changes will be. We've lots of rumours, of course, but so I think that gives us an opportunity once that's been announced to relook at the pledge to say, do we have the right numbers? Is it the
Yep.
right type of pledge? I'm hoping those changes will be positive changes in terms of encouraging more and more apprenticeships. I was on a call this morning, actually, a construction leadership call, where the CITB was saying the number of apprentices is actually down year on year by about 1%, I think they said. So we need to reverse that trend
Yeah.
and to start to increase the numbers. So I think, look, there's a lot of scope when you look at the size of our business, our industry, and the number of companies that are in that business, in the industry, a lot of which are SMEs. So
Mm.
I think one of my key messages from this as well is you don't have to be a Travis Perkins or a Mace to
No.
be looking at recruiting apprenticeships. You can be a business of any size, and an apprentice will add value to your business.
100%. And I think the more that you keep talking about it, and I know that you plan with all of your, as you said, you mention it at every meeting, it goes out in your social comms, it goes out in your newsletters, it's on your website, and that you're planning to do promotion stories of,
Mm.
when, you know, X member has signed the pledge and X member gets their first apprentice, and start telling those stories as well. And I know that's what the NHIC does with its apprentice. Gemma does cover stories about, what she's learned at college, how she's applying that into the business, how that's impacting on the events we run and things like that. So it builds that narrative and that communication of that this is normal, and that will start to bring on. So you'll have your early adopters, and then, as you get towards the end of your pledge period, you'll be getting your laggards in, to use that not unpolite phrase. But it's about keeping that momentum moving forwards and showing people that having an apprenticeship within your business or taking on apprenticeship yourself is a really positive and cost-effective way to improve your own future and that of your business.
No, absolutely, and I totally agree with everything you've said.
Thank you so much. And thank you, John, for sharing your insights and highlighting the importances of apprenticeships across our sector. Initiatives like those you're leading at the BMF are clearly paving the way for a skilled and sustainable future. And I thank you for the work that you're doing. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Please subscribe, share this episode, and follow us on social media for more inspiring stories and industry updates. Until next time, remember that every home improvement project starts with the right tools, and the best tool for a brighter future might just be an apprenticeship. Thank you.